A very warm welcome to you all to this, the 12th Annual City Week. First of all, I'd like to thank all our partners, our speakers, our board of patrons. It's great to be back in person.
London continues to hold the top spot for financial and professional services when compared to other global destinations.
Meeting our Paris goals will require a wholesale redirection of capital and the mobilisation of private finance. And that's why the United Kingdom has made finance a key priority of the COP26 presidency.
Climate change is still the number one existential challenge of our time. I just listened to the President panel and it was really striking in this regard. That remains the case despite the pandemic and the turbulence and uncertainty we've all been living through in recent weeks with the war in Europe.
Green finance has become an important area for international cooperation. A lot has been said about the reality of climate change. The reality is dire. The challenges are real.
On the one hand, everybody's stretched in the pocketbook with higher prices, going to be stretched further with higher interest rates, all the things that you mentioned. And that's going to put pressure on corporations and individuals who are looking to otherwise make steps in the direction of proper climate action.
I think what makes City Week such an important event in the financial calendar is that it brings people who are in the City of London together.
Well, I think colleagues here on the panel have made it quite clear that things have changed since probably 5 or 10 years ago, and there would not be many today in the large institutions and the large companies in the world that would dispute the fact that climate change is happening.
It's a key question because you can't, in the real world, divide nature from climate. These things are not separable. There's no pathway to net zero, no credible pathway to net zero that doesn't involve massive efforts to protect and restore nature.
Very true. The global finance nature gap is very significant and in fact worrying. Some estimates actually put it to between 598 to 824 billion every single year.
For those of you joining us for the second day who were here yesterday, welcome back. And for those of you who weren't here yesterday, welcome. We had some very lively discussions yesterday. We also had a particularly good gala dinner. The guest of honour was the Ukrainian ambassador to the UK, which I have to say was one of the more emotional gala dinners I've attended. And I think everybody was deeply moved by his words about the challenges the country faces and how bravely that country is facing up to those challenges.
The fixed income markets may not, on their surface, seem like the most cinematic part of our financial system. And yet, bonds are far from the dullest market in the world. They're incredibly important to individuals, to companies, to governments in the US and around the world.
But so much is happening, both with the regulators and with Treasury and indeed government and the Parliament. So trying to work out where to start on this, and those of you who work in reg and compliance will know it is all happening out there at the moment.
I've been really impressed about the seniority and some of the major influential global players that have been here, really sharing their ideas and being very open and transparent.
We're happy to kick off, and MICA or MICA, or whatever you want to call it, is certainly a game-changing initiative regarding looking at oversight of crypto assets, as it will create a framework for the issuance and provision of services related to crypto assets in Europe.
It's sort of illustrated that there's so much variability within this topic, which is part of the problem. It's highly complex and there's a lot to pick and choose from, and there's a lot in development.
the G20 financial institutions have nearly $22 trillion of exposures to carbon-intensive sectors, of which on-balance sheet bank loans account for 60%.
A year on, I think we're clear we are being tougher on firms causing harm, and we've done that partly through empowering more colleagues to take more decisions so we act faster.
City Week is a leading financial services conference. My firm has sponsored it for a number of the previous years. I think it attracts excellent speakers, quality speakers, excellent topics, and accordingly it gets good delegates to come along and hear the conference.
It's wonderful to be in this medieval setting. It's like celebrating a party. It's being back with people, and it gives us so much more than only the virtual contact on the screen.
I think the pandemic has had both a kind of strategic impact and an impact on people, right? So in our world, the shift to digital has been, I think, not just a discontinuity, but a acceleration of the pace of change.
Welcome to the third day of City Week. We've had some very good discussions on the first 2 days.
We have been working very closely as a government, thinking how we can support Ukraine whilst also ensuring that Putin's illegal war fails. And we have just announced yesterday the liberalisation of all tariffs with our trade with Ukraine. We're the first to do it, and I'm going to be encouraging other countries to do the same.
I have seen a lot of change during my career. Financial services has had many ups and downs and is presently experiencing a period of rapid development spurred on by the digital revolution, disruptive innovation, and the continual emergence of new technologies powered by machine learning and AI.
Hong Kong also has a very vibrant fintech ecosystem and is home to some of the world's most innovative fintech companies.
Insurance is a real area where the ethics of what you do and how you don't inadvertently and unintentionally include discrimination that you didn't mean to, but as a direct consequence of that granularity. The data ethics piece here is huge, and I've got to say that I think most people in our industry, again, are in the foothills of understanding that. So I think that's a potential issue we've got to be really careful about.
Initial technology developments have improved speed, convenience, access. What's going to happen, and certainly in the near future, within 2 or 3 years, you're going to be able to have institutional grade services flow to your smartphone.
I think the other speakers on my panel were the highest quality of them all, because they were CEOs of the companies in the financial sector, CEOs of the banks, and then there was me.
But as Naveen was saying, it's more the whole way that digital payments are changing. I think is quite key, and we're seeing that within each country, and we're now starting to see it obviously on a cross-border basis. And I'm not sure necessarily that's the banks, but it's the whole infrastructure around it, and we just have to be careful that we're not walking into that. We actually understand what's likely to happen.
I think the landscape has changed, but I think the UK has gone through this amazing shift in thinking around we can move fast, and just as fast as anybody else in the world, around building innovative companies.
Yeah, I think the return to the physical venue, I think that's been absolutely fantastic. I think you don't really realise how much you miss it until you come back to it.
Starling's been on a journey now the last 7 years, and we are now nearly 3 million accounts in the UK, 450,000 of those accounts, business accounts. And we are very, very proud to be a bank that gives really, really good service to our customers, and we are profitable. So it is possible to be high growth and profitable.